Hi all, welcome back to the Vivid Land with me, Martin, in beautiful Dartmoor. It was a bit sunnier earlier on, but I'm afraid it's just become a bit more overcast, but it's still lovely, isn't it? I mean, you can see the drama in the clouds behind me. It being Dartmoor, it could probably erupt into some kind of storm or drop down in mist any moment, so hopefully that won't happen. This video is about understanding exposure, but the way I teach it. And a gentleman who commented on one of my videos lately, Doug, thank you Doug, inspired me to do this because he got me thinking when he made a comment about how he was at the stage at the moment where he put it, I'm paraphrasing him, I'm still learning the basics of photography, I'm still trying to understand exposure or something like that. And it made me think, well, hang on, I teach photography, and I teach photography mainly to students, to younger people who might be going on to, young teenagers who might be going on to do A-level or even beyond, if you like. And by doing that, I've had to develop a sort of certain techniques of helping people to understand really quite technical stuff, but dumbing it down into a very basic level. So that forms a foundation before they start to, get involved in the more technical aspects of understanding the technical side of photography. So what I mean by that is before they get into the like the f-stops and the understanding the fractional values of both aperture and shutter speed and so on, and even ISO, but they understand, they can pre-visualize, if you like, in their mind how it actually works, and it really does help them understand the rest of it going forward. If you don't give them that basic platform to start with, they're immediately thrown into, they're immersed in real technical stuff and mathematical fractional stuff, and it usually blows people's minds. But it's a lot more simple than that if you understand the basic mechanics of how exposure works. Now, I happen to be mildly autistic. It's not something I'm saying for any dramatic effect, but it means that I think in a slightly different way, as do many people. Some people can be really quite extremely autistic, think like Rain Man or something like that, but other people can be quite mildly autistic. Now, what that means is as I said, we think slightly differently, and in some ways, by the way, autistic people can be incredibly creative, but not only creative maybe artistically, but also in the way that they think and they do things. And so I think it's been a blessing to me because it's allowed me to try and configure different ways of explaining things which other people might not do, and I found in my experience it's helped a lot, not only for myself but for people that I teach in all the different professions I've been involved with in my life. So let's use that. Let's do understanding exposure 101, basics, absolute basics. Now, I want you to think about your sensor in your digital camera. We won't talk about film, it's not really relevant these days, so we'll just stick right now with digital. Your digital sensor is that rectangular device inside of your digital camera, which is normally purpley, greeny, bluey, or something like that. It's quite obvious, it's very obvious to see which part of that camera is your sensor. That is basically a very, very light sensitive or a light gathering device. Okay, that's all you need to know. It's just like the inside of your eye or your retina, if you know what a retina is. So inside of your eye, at the back of your eye, you've got a retina, and as the light and everything you look at, it cascades through your eye, through your lens in the front of your eye. It is projected, oddly enough, upside down, but we won't go into that, onto the back of your retina, and your retina is light sensitive like the sensor in your digital camera, okay? And what happens is that information, if you like, is gathered and it is transformed into other data in your body. Who knows what that is, but in a digital camera it's into some sort of digital code, and then it is reformed, re-put together, if you like, as a digital image. Now, notice I use the eye analogy because it's really important. Let me give you another scenario. You're lying in bed, it doesn't need to be at night, but all your curtains are drawn, it's a very dark room. In fact, it's completely dark, and you have your eyes closed too. And all of a sudden, somebody walks into that room you're in and they just open the door and they flick on the lights. Boom! All of a sudden you're blinded. Just like the sun's just kicking out now and starting to light my face. The light's changed. Okay? And you're blinded because you're sensitive. Let's stick with this now. Let's not talk about it as a retina anymore. The back of your eye is your sensor. Okay? All of a sudden your sensor in your eye has been overwhelmed with light, and it's blown out. It's blinded you. You've been temporarily blinded for a few seconds. And even if you close your eyes, you've got patches in front of your sight. It's a bit of burnout. Your sensor in your camera would act or is as sensitive in exactly the same way. So what you have to do to understand exposure is understand that basic principle that your sensor in your camera is just like the inside of your eye, okay? And unless you control the amount of light hitting it or getting to it, you will either get an overexposure, which is way too much, like the scenario I just explained, or the scenario before the person opened the door and switched the lights on, complete blackness because there's no or little light coming in and hitting your sensor and giving you an exposure. Okay, so completely overexposed if it's too much light, or completely underexposed if it's too little light. So once you understand that basic thing, because you can relate to it because it's also happening in your body, and when you use your eyes every day, you get it. Relate it in that same way to the sensor in your camera. So what do you need to do in order to get the right exposure with your camera? And how do you control the amount of light which hits the sensor, which therefore determines whether you've got a good exposure or not? And that's where this gets interesting. That's where it applies to the camera. So you've got three elements, often referred to as the exposure triangle: ISO, shutter speed, and your aperture size. Okay, keeping it very basic. Note I'm not using all the technical terms, or most of them. Now we're going to leave ISO alone at the moment because we're going to assume for the purposes of this teaching that it's fixed. It's at 100. Let's just say it's ISO 100. Forget about it. It's a certain sensitivity, because that's all ISO is really in its basic terms. It's just the sensitivity level. Okay, like turning the volume up or down on an audio device. It's a sensitivity level, okay, of your sensor. So let's leave that alone. So we'll just stick with shutter speed, and we'll stick with aperture. We've already kind of touched on aperture in a way when I talked about the iris in your eye, how it opens and closes. And now I'm going to go on to say the wider it is, obviously the more light it's letting in. The smaller it is, the less light it's letting in. Your body automatically does that with your eyes when it gets brighter or darker for you, and it adjusts itself to allow more light in if it's darker, so you can see better. Yeah, that's what they talk about when they say your eyes will adjust to the dark. It's actually your eyes adjusting and something happening in your brain. But so that's aperture. We'll go into that again in a minute. But most importantly, it's the shutter speed in your camera which is going to determine the exposure. So how does that work in basic terms? Let's take my palm of my hand as my sensor in my camera. My sensor is very, very sensitive to light, like your back of your eye is, okay? So in order to not have it exposed to light all the time, we keep it inside your camera, which is a what? A black light proof box, black on the inside, that is. So in fact, our sensor is usually, and almost always, when we've got the camera assembled with the lens on it, in a completely lightproof dark box. It's getting no light whatsoever. So if we want to get an exposure, meaning if we want to put light onto our sensor, which is coming through our lens with our image on it, to burn, if you like, use that, that's a nice way to think about it, to burn that image into the sensor like you would burn a memory into your mind. If we're going to burn it onto that sensor, what we need to do is we need to open that lightproof box for a short period of time, allow a certain amount of light onto our sensor, and then close it again. If we open it for too long, as we've just kind of hit on, we're going to overexpose and it'll be blown out. We'll get no detail, we'll see nothing but mainly white. If we do it too quickly, we won't get enough light and we won't really see anything. So our shutter speed is basically the shutter is just like a door. It's got the right name. It's a shutter, opening and closes. It's just basically the doorway to allowing light or no light onto your sensor. So it opens for a certain time and then it closes. So if it's a 1 second exposure, our shutter speed is 1 second, open, 1, closed. Half a second, open, closed. An eighth of a second, open, closed. A 60th of a second, if I can do this, open, closed. Okay, so that's all it is. It really is that simple. And when you can understand that, you can then go on to worry about the timings, the mathematics and the numbers and so on. Yeah, so we're just opening it and closing it. We're exposing light, or we're letting light onto our sensor to burn the image into the sensor for a specific amount of time. And if it's too much, it's too bright. If it's too little, it's too dark. Now, as I will go on to in other videos to explain, there are other elements of using shutter speed that will affect your image, to do with motion in particular, but that's not for now, okay? So we can do that. And we can combine that, if you like, with the aperture size. So that's just within our lens, and that's when we got f1.2 or f22 or f whatever. That's just the size of the hole. The bigger the number, the smaller the hole, and the opposite applies. So we can also affect the amount of light coming in by the size of our aperture. But again, we don't need to go into that too much right now because that's kind of self-explanatory, right? The main one is understanding how a shutter works and understanding that a sensor has to be exposed. There you go. Now we're coming back to the true sense of the word, because when people talk about exposure, they immediately go off about numbers. Exposure is, just bring it back to the basics of it all. Exposure is just about how much light you expose to the light sensitive device, which in this case is your digital camera sensor. That's it. It really is that simple. It's an open and shut case. Now, I think you pretty much got that by now. That's the basic, very, very basic understanding of what exposure is and why it affects the brightness or the dullness of an image. Let's keep it in very, very simple terms at this point. You can use, as I've already mentioned, your aperture and your shutter speed for other let's call them artistic effects on your image, that's probably for the next video, and that will also determine whether you use one or the other as far as controlling your exposure, because you can use one or the other. Okay, you can have your shutter speed fixed and adjust your aperture to affect your exposure. So even if it's a half a second exposure, because you've got a nice wide aperture, you'll still let more light in, right? If you've got the same half a second exposure with a small aperture, trying to get the hole here, okay, you will get half or a third or whatever amount of light in, depending on the size of the aperture. So you can see, even if you've got a fixed shutter speed and that's not changing, you can still affect how much light the sensor's getting by the hole that it's looking through, how big it is. Yeah. And conversely, if you want to fix your aperture and have it just dead small, okay, and that doesn't change, say f16, then you can adjust your shutter speed to the appropriate speed, the appropriate exposure to your sensor of light, in order to get the right exposure to live with the size of aperture that you've set. And I won't go into any more details about why you would use one or the other. That's for the next video, like I said. So let me know if that makes sense. Let me know if that way of explaining it through analogy and through very, very basic description worked for you. Okay, because a lot of people don't get past this point. They try and leapfrog this element and go straight into the technical bit, and then they get lost. You have to take the first step first. You can't leap this. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. I look forward to doing the next one. Like and subscribe if you want me to continue doing this particular video, because that's the way I operate. I'll do one, and if it's appreciated and I think it's worth doing the next one, do the next one. If nobody bothers with this video, then I won't go any further with it, because you know there's other things I can do. All right, I'm sorry that I've noticed that the iPhone I'm filming on, talking about exposure, is redoing its own exposure all the time. Can you see the sky getting brighter and lighter behind me at a certain time? When I put my hand out, it's not doing it now. Anyway, there you go. That's it in action. Right, so take care, have a great weekend, and thank you so much for all your support. Like and subscribe, ring the bell, whatever you need to do. Comment below. Look forward to hearing from you. Bye-bye.